What's going on, knuckleheads? This is George with FightersRep, and if you guys like to talk about combat sports, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it, and join us every week on Thursday nights at 9 Pacific for the previews and predictions of the upcoming big fights of the weekend. Join us immediately after the big fights, typically on Saturdays. And feel free to join us now on Sundays for Anxiety Sundays. That's what we're calling them because we do not want the work week to kick in. We've got crazy anxiety leading us into the work week. And how do we cure it? Let's not do drugs. Let's not do anything crazy. Let's talk about what we love, which is combat sports. So the reason for today's Anxiety Sunday is I want to talk about FightersRep 7, our upcoming unified rules kickboxing bout. And then I also want to discuss some boxing news that went down over the weekend that we didn't really get a chance to discuss because we were too busy talking about the heavyweight phenom and MMA, the UFC's very own Francis Ngannou, an absolute killer in heavyweight MMA, representing hard for France and Cameroon. But back to our conversation, knuckleheads. First off, if you don't know, this is the FightersRep channel. We are a promotion / channel / media outlet. We do interviews with fighters, coaches, and other personalities in the fight game. We also discuss big fights and react to them on this channel. And last and definitely not least, the most important aspect of which is what we do is we're a promotion. We're a unified rules kickboxing promotion. And for those that don't understand what that is, for me, in my opinion, it is the most exciting combat sport in the world. And I believe that because unified rules kickboxing is basically all striking. There's no grappling. You can't go to the ground. As soon as you clinch, the referee is going to try to break you up. You might be able to get a shot in while you're clinching, but typically it's not encouraged. It's actually broken up right away. So the guys have to basically stand and bang. We're currently sanctioned by the IKF and soon will be sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission along with the IKF because we plan on doing pro-am fights. Again, we've got really exciting fights because of the rule set. I think it's the most exciting rule set since the action has never really stopped because of grappling and clinching. Because as I said, it's broken up right away. We also have the most talented, what I believe are the most talented young fighters in the world right here in Southern California. Of course, we get talent from all over the world because talent from all over the world comes here to train. But we get the most talented camps in the world competing for us. Teams like Black House, where Anderson Silva and Lyoto Machida train, and our buddy Blake Troop, and so many other great fighters. Teams like CMMA, where Combat Jiu-Jitsu world champion and Bellator, former Bellator fighter and WEC fighter Chad George have competed. We get Josh Barnett's team to compete for us. So, I mean, it's definitely, Team Quest, CSW, and it just goes on and on and on. We've been able to attract the attention of the huge MMA camps, the huge Muay Thai camps, and the kickboxing camps and unify them in our unified rules, kickboxing rule set. And it's just a fantastic, like I said, a fantastic rule set. It's all action. And we'll be airing it live on July 27th right here at 7 p.m. Basically, the fights should begin, so you can watch them live and free right here. Also, when we're discussing the fights as a media outlet and interviewing people and basically operating in any capacity, I like to consider us as being the objective news outlet when it comes to combat sports. I don't really have any stake in the game other than trying to promote my fighters and get our promotion as much basically notoriety as I can in order to help the fighters and us grow as a promotion. So when we're talking about fighters, when we're talking about boxing news, MMA news, what have you, you can definitely expect to get an objective perspective. You may not agree with it all the time, but I will give my perspective. I will explain why that's my perspective, and then I'll turn it over to you guys to sort of, let me know what you think. And that's what this is. This is a objective, non-biased, because there are a lot of biased channels on YouTube, an objective, non-biased combat sports forum where you can watch free fights from FightersRep, where we can discuss the big fights coming up. We can react to them together, and we can talk to combat sports personalities such as Manny Robles, the guy who trained Andy Ruiz Jr., the new boxing heavyweight champion. We interviewed him a couple weeks back. The video has, 42,000 something views, and I really appreciate you guys for watching and helping us continue to grow. Also, this is sort of a crowd-funded or semi-crowd-funded promotion. A lot of this comes from me, from us, from the team, as far as putting these fights together. But it's semi-crowd-funded in that, if you guys donate to the live chat, buy shirts, you are supporting the promotion and helping me invest some of that money, most of that money, back into the promotion in order to build an alternative promotion for fighters. And the goal is to build an alternative promotion that's strong enough to compete with the big promotions and to maybe attract guys who are strikers to this promotion, guys who are otherwise forced to fight in other rule sets because there's not many kickboxing promotions around. I feel like we're the only one that really is doing things in a big way at this time. And I really appreciate you guys watching. And again, you could tune in and watch the fights for free on July 27th for FightersRep 7, where we've got some of the most talented young fighters in the world and the most exciting rule set in the world. And to keep it free, I encourage you guys to donate in the links below or in the super chats, or, just buy a FightersRep shirt. We don't ask for much. Buy a FightersRep shirt or any kind of merchandise. Any kind of merchandise in the links below. And you'll be supporting the cause. Now that we've spoken about FightersRep 7, and I think it's going to be a fantastic card. We've got, we'll probably have between 15 and 18 fights total. It's going to be all action-packed. I also wanted to touch on some boxing fights that went down over the weekend that we didn't get to talk to because we were dealing with Francis Ngannou. The first order of business I wanted to talk about was Demetrius Andrade, who basically took on and took out by decision Maciej, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Soleski, the guy who went up against Danny Jacobs not too long ago and gave him hell. And Demetrius Boo Andrade, who's a middleweight boxer and been in the game for a hot minute, he's now 28-0. He made Soleski look like basically an average fighter. If you guys have been or have not been following Demetrius Boo Andrade, he is an exceptional fighter. And what's basically keeping him from being elite is the fact that because of the way boxing is, it's just the culture of boxing, he hasn't been able to land any big fights against the elite guys like Triple G or like Golovkin. And this is a guy who absolutely can beat I'm sorry, I said Triple G or Golovkin. I meant Triple G or Canelo. And this is a guy who can absolutely beat either one of those guys. He definitely has a shot at beating either one of those guys. He was supposed to also fight Billy Joe Saunders before he got popped with whatever performance-enhancing drug he was taking. But Demetrius Andrade, he went out there. He showed up. He showed out in front of his people in Rhode Island. The guy's an absolute beast. The guy deserves to be fighting the upper echelon guys in the division. He deserves the opportunity to demonstrate his skills and demonstrate his elite level talent. And I'm hoping that now that he's teamed up with DAZN, with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing, he'll eventually get to that point where people will recognize him for the unbelievable talent that he is. He's a really talented guy. He's got great boxing skills, and he was actually very aggressive in this last fight. I almost feel like he was trying to put on a fan-friendly fight, and the last thing I want for the guy is to go away from his style, which is a very technical boxing style, and become something he's not, just to be fan-friendly. But he was able to be aggressive and still very efficient, and I really appreciated his performance. And I look forward to watching more of him, and I hope soon that he gets to fight Canelo or Triple G. I'm assuming if it happens, it's going to happen after their trilogy, after their rubber match, or it's not really a rubber match since it was a draw and a win. I don't know what they would call it. A medal match? No, that's not even funny. But he should definitely get the opportunity to fight the winner of those two guys. Another person I wanted to talk about was Jermall Charlo, who took on a guy that I've never really heard of in Brandon Adams, and he won the decision despite hurting his hand. This is good for Charlo. Another win on his record at least. But the guys the Charlo brothers are fighting aren't really world beaters in any way. I would like to see them both kind of take on better guys. I still wanted to see the Harrison fight against, I believe it's the other Charlo brother. But regardless, these are two talented young fighters who I think at this point need to start also fighting the elite in the division. I don't know what's the deal with them. I don't know if it's their promoter that's keeping them sort of protected or whatever it is. But these are two talented young fighters. They're two brothers, very talented, and I think it's Jermell that needs to settle the score with Tony Harrison, who beat him for the title last time. But Jermall is doing a great job, and I look forward to watching both of them continue to develop, and hopefully they both start fighting guys that are more in their category. Same with Demetrius Andrade. And, this goes back to the cultural issue with boxing where, we always have an A side and a B side. Typically, it's a huge disparity in the talent between the A side and the B side. And I'm hoping that changes. A lot of people talk about the UFC and how it's a monopoly and how, they run everything, they own everything, they make all the decisions, but at least you get the best fighting the best. And you don't get that in boxing when you have promoters, several of them, and several of whom won't even work together. So it's not a cool thing, but it's something I'm hoping we'll see a change in. So that's basically it, knuckleheads. Those are my thoughts. Definitely tune in on July 27th to check out Fighters Rep 7. It's going to be a banger. These cards and these fights have been so exciting. I definitely look over the matchups myself. I do a lot of research into the fighters before matching them up. I try to get them the best experience possible by matching them again in the most competitive fight possible. And I will not match a fight unless I think it's going to be a great close fight, because I believe that's what brings out the best and earns the fighters the best experience. And then I also have an awesome matchmaker, a young upstart matchmaker that I've been sort of helping out along the way. He's coming into his own. His name is Jesse Brown. He's fantastic, extremely organized, a huge fight fan. Actually has an amateur fight on his resume. So definitely, something to watch out for. You want to tune in July 27th and check us out. Again, feel free to donate below, buy a shirt. You'll be supporting the promotion. And please subscribe. Definitely subscribe. And we'll be in touch soon, knuckleheads.